Fatally flawed. Why Americans don't bother to vote. If only we had star voting! Our current voting system, Plurality, is one of the worst, least accurate, and least representative options out there. It only works well if there are two candidates or two political parties. If there are more options than that, voters are forced to vote for the lesser of two evils. This is because with plurality, honest voting can backfire and actually help elect your least favorite candidate. For the 43% of Americans that don't identify with the two major parties, not voting at all is often a better strategy than voting their conscience. No wonder only 40% of eligible voters voted in the last presidential election. One of the biggest flaws in our current voting system is something called the spoiler effect. This phenomena, where an election fails to elect the candidate who had the most support, can happen anytime there are three or more candidates in a race. The more candidates, the more likely we are to elect the wrong winner. It happens a lot in partisan primaries or elections where a group of voters support more than one candidate. The problem is that any voter who likes more than one candidate is at a huge disadvantage. Voters have learned the hard way that it's not safe to vote their conscience, and that they have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Imagine you're ordering takeout for a birthday party with lots of picky eaters. Most kids would be happy with pizza or burritos. 40% of the kids like Chinese food best, but they'd be fine with the other options too. But if this group voted on what to eat and each kid had to choose just one option, there's a good chance they'd end up splitting their support between the top two choices, leaving the least popular option overall, Chinese food, to win. This would be one sad birthday party. To avoid this problem, some smart kids might realize that they have to team up in order to win. They tell all the burrito-loving kids that they have to vote for pizza, even though they prefer burritos. If it works, then pizza will win and the kids will be as happy as possible. Plurality voting teaches us that it's often not safe to vote for our favorite. Honest voting often backfires and can actually help our least favorite to win. Not voting at all is a better strategy than voting your conscience for some voters. But we can't afford to have a fatally flawed voting system that punishes people for voting honestly. For democracy to work, we need a voting system that solves the spoiler effect, that lets everyone vote their conscience, and that elects the candidate with the most support, even in elections with many candidates. Another fatal flaw with our current voting system is wasted votes. Voter turnout is abysmally low, and when you go out and talk to people who say they don't vote, you get a lot of telling reasons. The system is rigged anyways. My state is going to vote for a Democrat anyways, or my state's voting Republican. It won't make a difference. I can't stomach voting for the lesser of two evils. The candidates are two sides of the same coin. Many people would simply respond that voting is our civic duty, which is true, but there's also a lot of truth to these common sentiments. Let's go over a few of the ways that plurality voting can waste your vote. Number 1. If you don't vote for a major party, your vote is often wasted. Partisan primaries, especially closed primaries like we have in Oregon, exclude tons of voters who don't consistently identify with either major party. Nationally, that's almost half of voters, and here in Oregon, it's around a third. Independent or nonpartisan voters are the largest voting bloc, but if their candidates don't run as Democrats or Republicans, they don't have a chance. Voters already know it's not safe to vote their conscience. Number 2, if your district always votes the same way. If you live in a safe district where one party always wins, then the election is consistently decided in the primary. This further excludes swing voters, but it doesn't stop there. If you're confident that your favorite is definitely going to lose, then there isn't much point in voting. Number 3. Of course, the spoiler effect that we described above is the worst in terms of wasting votes. Every time a voter casts a vote for someone who isn't one of the frontrunners, they risk having that vote backfire, which can actually help elect their worst-case scenario. Voting for a spoiler candidate isn't just a neutral vote. It can actually be a vote for the other side. A number of places have picked up on these problems and have decided to get rid of our fatally flawed voting system and adopt something better. Until now, the most popular two alternatives have been ranked choice voting and approval voting, but both have major drawbacks. Ranked choice voting, otherwise known as RCV, allows voters to give an opinion on multiple candidates by ranking them in order of preference. The more expressive ballot equals more accurate results, so this is a big step up from plurality. But the problem is that voters' down ballot rankings aren't counted until after their top choice is eliminated. If your favorite is eliminated in a later round, your next choice may be gone already. Those uncounted rankings mean that in races with 3 or more strong candidates, RCV can actually eliminate the candidate with the broadest support. RCV doesn't fix the spoiler effect, and the more candidates, the more this breakdown is likely to happen. A more expressive ballot is great, but it doesn't get us very far if we don't actually use all the information we collect. Approval voting does an even better job of picking the winner with the most support. It uses the same kind of ballot that we use now, but it lets you vote for or approve more than one option. It's very simple, but the problem is it doesn't let you show which candidate you prefer. So it strongly favors the centrist candidates, the major party candidates, or whoever is deemed most electable. Approval voting uses the least expressive kind of ballot, so it doesn't collect enough information to get the best results, or to let voters vote their conscience. A lot of voting experts have suggested using a more expressive score ballot, where you give each candidate a rating. If voters are honest, score voting is the best system, which is why it's become so widespread for online product ratings, but it can be vulnerable to strategic or tactical voting methods, so it hasn't been used in real-world elections. Up until now, no voting system has offered everything that voters want, and we've had to settle for trade-offs. But a new player on the scene has made some exciting breakthroughs. Star voting is an innovative solution that combines the best parts of score and ranked voting, while mitigating the flaws of both. It accurately picks the winner with the most support and who best represents the electorate. It works great with any number of strong candidates. It lets voters vote their conscience and show their full opinion. It isn't vulnerable to strategic voting, and it doesn't waste your vote. Even if your favorite can't win, your vote still makes a difference. The star ballot uses the familiar 5-star rating system that we're used to from Amazon and Yelp, and then it counts those votes in a 2-step process. Voters give each candidate a score from 0 up to 5 stars. The 2 highest scoring candidates are finalists. Your ballot already shows which finalist you preferred, and the finalist that was preferred by more voters wins. It's fine to leave candidates blank or to give candidates the same score. Star voting's first round measures quality of support. The 5-star ballot is the most expressive because it lets voters show not only what order they prefer the candidates, but also how much they like each one. Then, star voting uses all that data to determine who the frontrunners really are. More data collected and more data used means more accurate results. Because the scores are totaled all at once, unlike with ranked choice voting, we know right away who has the most support, so nobody who should win can get eliminated unfairly. This is what prevents the spoiler effect. The key feature of star voting is that people can safely and honestly show how much or how little they support each and every candidate. If you don't prefer one over another, you can give them the same score. If your second choice is not that great, you can give them a lower score while still showing that they're better than the other guy. If you don't like someone or just don't care, you can leave them blank. A star ballot can still show what order you would rank the candidates in, but it also allows you to show how you feel about each one. The second round measures quantity of supporters. Star voting's 2-round process is the key to solving the wasted vote problem and makes it so that every vote makes a difference. This is because even if your favorite can't win, it's still worth it to vote because your other preferences help determine who will win the runoff. The runoff is also the key to encouraging expressive, honest voting and discouraging tactical voting. For example, let's look at this progressive voter's ballot. Let's say that she lives in a predominantly conservative area, and Marco Rubio and Gary Johnson, 2 of the more conservative candidates, made it to the runoff. The ballot shows that she prefers Gary, and so he'll get her runoff vote. Even though her top choices were all eliminated, her vote would still make a difference and help prevent her worst-case scenario. The runoff is also the key to encouraging expressive, honest voting and discouraging tactical voting. Some people might be tempted to give everyone they don't love a 0, even if they have a more nuanced opinion. If you really only like one or two candidates and the rest are equally bad, then it's fine to do that. But once again, if you really want to be sure to get a say in the runoff, it pays to show your full preference order as well as how much you like each candidate. Take it from the pros. When star voting first hit the scene, activists were intrigued, but until we got the results back from Harvard's cutting-edge election simulator, the voting reform movement didn't realize what it had on its hands. Jamison Quinn from the Center for Election Science has been working with Harvard and other leaders in the field on developing a mathematical method to determine how accurate a voting system is across a wide variety of scenarios. The fruit of their labors is a system called voter satisfaction efficiency. VSE uses simulated elections to measure a voting system's accuracy across a wide variety of scenarios. A voting system should ideally pick the candidate with the most overall support while encouraging honest voting and discouraging tactical voting. In these simulations, star voting came in first place with 98% accuracy when voters are honest. The simulations also showed that honesty is the best strategy for individual voters and for the electorate as a whole. Star voting is just what we've been waiting for, and we're inspired and motivated to make the dream a reality. So here's a recap. Star voting uses a 5-star rating ballot similar to online tools people already use like Yelp and Amazon. Star voting solves the wasted vote problem so that every vote makes a difference. Honesty is the best policy, and it's best to vote your conscience. Star voting is the most accurate representative voting system out there. Star voting prevents the spoiler effect by taking into account all the information from every ballot and encouraging honest voting. Every voter has equal voting power, and the system doesn't give anyone an unfair advantage. If you'd like to get involved and help, we'd love to have you. You can help with field testing by using our online election calculator to hold your own elections for events and organizations that you're involved with. The more people who use star voting in real life before we run a ballot measure, the better. If you're a student, please consider star voting for your student government elections. And if you work for a business or a nonprofit, this is a great opportunity to make sure your group makes the best possible decisions. You can find a blog post with instructions on how to set up your own election at our website, equal.vote/srv_election_calculator. Definitely learn more, stay involved, and up to date by checking out our website and Facebook groups. Equal Vote is equal.vote online, and we have a Facebook group and page that you should check out as well. To volunteer, we have a lot in the works, and we're always looking for more people with creative, tech, business, or people skills. Another way to help out is to host or attend an event. Help get the word out by hosting a party, giving a presentation, passing out information, or collecting signatures for our ballot measures. If there isn't a lot going on in your area, start a local Equal Vote chapter to help build momentum for a ballot measure in your area. And most importantly, please, tell people about star voting and why we need it. Democracy needs you. It's not a spectator sport.